Today's podcast is sponsored by MPB, the online pricing engine that provides the right price for any camera or lens. Get free kit pickup and get paid within days, all without leaving your home. How much could you get? Find out with a free instant quote at www.mpb.com/sell.
Hello and welcome to the AV Forums Movies Podcast for Monday the 19th of June 2023. We recorded this podcast yesterday, today's Sunday I guess, because Simon is unavailable at the usual time, and so we wanted to have a full team. So with me today are Simon Crust.
Hello everybody, apologies, there will be no live unboxing this evening.
And Mark Costello.
Evening all, a very disappointed evening all.
we can do some unboxing.
I was going to say that you can always just whip out your Department S one more time.
Yeah, we can do it.
But it won't be live, will it? It won't be live.
Well, yeah,
and the three people looking forward to it will be very disappointed.
It isn't technically live anyway, so there is that. This week we're going to be talking about the current DC Extended Universe showrunner James Gunn, and how he described one of the greatest superhero movies of all time. He described it about The Flash.
Okay.
Yeah, and we're going to be talking about The Flash and whether or not it's one of the greatest superhero films of all time. We're going to talk about the film that made Mark miss Michael Bay's Transformers sequels, Rise of the Beast, and reflect on the fact that the tremendously entertaining Extraction 2 is on Netflix and didn't make it to the cinemas.
Ooh.
But Expendables 4 is?
Expend 4 balls. That's what it should be called from now on. I mean, it's on the trailer. Expend 4 balls. There you go.
I am on board with that description. Now we're going to review the latest John Wick Chapter 4 on demo-worthy 4K. We're going to talk about the actual tech of the dino-sci-fi 65 on 4K. You saw it unboxed last week, so it was teased. Celebrate the return of Star Trek Strange New Worlds with the Season 2 premiere. Survive Black Mirror Season 6. Trash HBO's The Idol, and trash Tom Holland's Apple's Crowded Room. Neither said Crowded House. Crowded House. I say Crowded House every time. I nearly put Crowded House.
Show your age, Kaz.
A review I didn't review right, and get all nostalgic about Arnold.
Yes,
that's what we've got in store. Right, let's dip into.
You didn't tell me to watch Arnold.
Okay, all right.
You don't need to be told to watch Arnold.
Well, I did my best.
Arnold.
You give me a list of stuff to watch, and I've watched it all. If Arnold had been on there, I still wouldn't have watched it.
Right, let's do some comps, Mark. Go.
Okay, right. Well, there's all manner of goodies that you can win today. So Ultra HD, first of all, you've got a copy of the Transformers 6 movie 4K Ultra HD Steelbook collection. You've got the Changeling from Second Sight. You've got Cocaine Bear. You've got Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, and you've got Brotherhood of the Wolf, all on 4K. If it's just regular glorious 1080p Blu-ray, then we've got you covered too, with Inland Empire, Champions, 65, Ip Man the Awakening, Local Heroes, Conquest of Everest, Shazam Fury of the Gods, and all manner of other good stuff that isn't disc shaped at all. So head on over to avforums.com/competitions to enter. All competitions, as ever, are open to eligible AV Forums members resident in the UK.
Yes, it's a nice selection. I am going to do a specific shout out for the Scalextrics box with Kit and the DeLorean in it, mainly because I run so many of these Scalextrics competitions and I want the prizes for every single one but the Mr. Bean one. I was okay without the Mr. Bean one, but all of the others I wanted the prize, and this is like the third time we've had a Kit and a DeLorean in, because we had them separately, I think, in with the track. These are just, I think, the two cars. And they never send spare Scalextrics. In fact, they never even send them to me and run the risk that they don't make it through to the winners. They
got your number. Got your
they clearly
number,
have.
Harlow.
But every time, it's for the kids. It's for the kids, man. I want them for the
course it is.
kids. Feel sorry for the kids.
Aye,
We have
aye,
winners. I'm not going to tell you who they are, but there are a bunch of winners. You'll hear about them next
Well
time.
done, all you winners who shall remain nameless.
Yes. New patron, Christopher Powell. Thank you very much for joining, and welcome to the Patron Club, where there are some juicy patron competitions. I suspect you will win or have already won one. So
Good luck.
good luck.
Welcome to early access.
Let's have some movie reviews and news. Right. The summer we discussed last time, as the summer blockbuster season has already kick-started. We've had a few gems so far, not least Across the Spider-Verse, Part 1. I'm going to call it Part 1 because they should have kept Part 1 in there. In a summer packed with not only blockbuster sequels, but a succession of Part 1s. I mean, it's been a tough year for the kids, explaining to them why they have to wait 2 years to watch the second part. The latest couple of entries have been a little disappointing, to say the least. Let's get the really bad out the way, Mark. I'm going to assume this is really bad in comparison to The Flash. I haven't seen it, but you made me not take the kids to see this. So thank you for your service. This is Transformers: Rise of the Beast.
Which is ironic, Kaz, because you made me go and see this.
All right. Well, look, we all saw Bumblebee.
Yes,
right?
We did.
Now, Transformers, I reviewed the last night, so you have to remember that when talking about Rise of the Beast. I've done my service when it comes to. I saw the second Transformers movie at IMAX because I actually enjoyed the first. So when the second one came out, I thought I'll go all the way to London to the BFI IMAX to go and see the second movie, and it was one of the worst experiences because of the sheer level of effort put into such a long, monotonous, and bad movie.
If my aging memory serves me rightly, the second one, Revenge of the Fallen, is that the one that had swinging robot testicles in it?
Yes.
And you saw that in IMAX, Kaz. It explains a lot.
You only know that after seeing.
Well,
Okay.
yes.
And I enjoyed the first movie.
Everyone did, because the first one was good.
It was good, and I thought that all they would need to do is like figure out the ridiculous amount of changing robot thing.
Well, look, there is one good thing. No, scratch that. There's one really terrible thing we can all take away from Transformers: Rise of the Beast, and that it obviously wasn't all just Michael Bay's fault. Rise of the Beast. Now, I have to admit, I don't have a huge amount of history with the expanded Transformers franchise, shall we say.
It's just another toy line.
The Gen 1 toys I was that age. Everything else kind of passed me by. But this, I believe, is based on the very successful animated TV show, I believe, from was it the Beast Wars franchise that had a 1996 animated show. So Rise of the Beast takes a lot of its characters, a lot of its plots from that. So yes, there is another world somewhere with another dastardly planet-sized beastie trying to eat it. There's some good robots that, for some strange reason, on a planet on the other side of the galaxy, look exactly like human animals. I don't know why. I'm sure there's a very good reason for that. There isn't you're right. You're right.
They didn't even bother with a Michael Bay reason.
No, I know, and that's what I said in the review. At least Michael Bay in the first Transformers film explained why they look like cars. So that's Michael Bay 1, Rise of the Beast 0, for everyone keeping score out there. But look, there's a thing you call it. It's an all-spark. It's a transwarp key. Whatever the bloody hell it is, it's a MacGuffin. Winds up on Earth. Some good robots want it. Some bad robots want it. And caught in the middle of all this noise and crashing metal are a couple of human characters desperately trying to make their mark, desperately trying to be heard, desperately trying to earn their paycheck. And yeah, I mean, I think I don't mind the Bay Transformers. I am very well aware that the last night was pretty poor, but I enjoyed it just bug nuts insanity. The balls that try to somehow link alien space robots to, the giant swinging balls atop the pyramids, that tried to link Merlin and King Arthur with space robots. I admire the insanity, and a healthy dose of that wouldn't have been missed in Rise of the Beast, shall we say. It skews very young, and it's obvious in every facet of it, tonally, visually. It's now a proper kids film. Its plotting is like a kids film. Something happens because it looks cool. Something stops happening because they can't think of a way to make it look any cooler. The plot is dreadful. And for those that like eye and ear porn, it doesn't
that's
have
a very specialist market.
not on these forums.
Not for Cronenberg.
It's smashy crashy. There's spectacle, but it has lost what Michael Bay brought to the Transformers, and he manages to do with everything. Michael Bay just sort of puts spectacle right here, and it looks like cinematic spectacle. This looked like it was a very well put together Saturday tea time TV show. Nothing to do with necessarily the quality of the effects. It's the staging, it's the shot choice, it's everything else. Now, for me, I'm not a kid anymore, as much as I would wish to be, and this film just disappointed because it was so overtly aimed at kids that it was not for me. Kids will love it, I guarantee it. Families might very well love it, but for me, this was a huge disappointment after Bumblebee. It lost the heart of the characters, it lost the stripped back nature, and it lost weirdly, it lost the humanity of Bumblebee. Here, the two humans that we get, they're what are we? Anthony Ramos and Dominique Fishback. I mean, they're quite charming. They're decent enough. They're not, thankfully, Mark Wahlberg's hunky American everyman who just happens to be a dab hand with every space laser he ever lays his hands on. He's also not Shia LaBeouf's, hideously hyperactive man-child. So they're quite decent, but that's about it. So I think unless you've got a gaggle of Sproglins desperate to see this at the cinema, it's a save your money. It's if there's nothing else on streaming when it comes in, probably give it a go then.
Honestly, even if you haven't got a gaggle, just go and see Spider-Verse instead. I mean, there's surely got to be better options than.
Do you know what? I don't even know why I bothered writing the review. I should have just put that. Go see Spider-Verse instead.
I mean, it's the first year in a few years where you can actually say go and see something else at the cinema. You're not locked into one big film playing for 2-3 months, or if you're Top Gun Maverick 6, it's
very
like
true.
it's like a year where people have choice, and it doesn't seem like this is.
No, this will not be top of anyone's lists, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Is it set in the same universe as the other films?
Yeah.
Or is it?
The 90s. It is. It's
but of course, none of it's ever mentioned. Yeah, exactly. There's no mention. There's no mention of what happened in Bumblebee, so we don't know if it's the same universe. Let's just say logic, like that, has no place in a viewing of this movie.
I mean, after Bumblebee, and we have to take note, something I didn't think about until after this came out was the fact that Bumblebee didn't make enough money. It didn't. It was the best received since the first movie. People didn't turn up to watch it, and
because they've been worn out by the crap before it, presumably.
Maybe, and also it's a niche. It's a specific niche. It's like one character, and it's popular
like
as
pioneer porn.
Well, no, do you know what No, because there was, and of course you got John Cena in there and all that. But I think what it was is it's beginning to show the problem for the franchise, which is who is this franchise now for? Because obviously, when Bay came out, say what you like about his unnerving interest in Megan Fox's rear end, shall we say, but Bay made it as if it was a film for adults
or for teens.
Now, granted, half of the time the plot was just a load of old rubbish and all that, but it was very much a film that adults could. Now, Bumblebee, though, I think it went so far for that specific 80s vibe that suddenly it was for, let's just say, chaps our age who grew up with the toys.
Yeah.
And no one else. Kids didn't want to see it because it sat in that old timey wimey. Back in the 80s when there was none of that internet. And of course now we've got even worse because now it's a real kids film with a bunch of characters that the kids now who it's for have got no relationship to. So I think they're in a huge identity crisis, this franchise, and God knows where they're going to go next.
Well, it was really simple where they went. They should have gone back to Cybertron because the opening bit in Bumblebee was like proper Transformers the movie done live action.
So yeah, but you say that, but then if they're on Cybertron, there's no need for them to transform. So suddenly it just becomes robots in space.
I am okay with that because they transformed into like other things, didn't they? And honestly, I'm okay with them being in robot form. Giant robots battling on a space planet for whatever, it looked really good at the beginning of Bumblebee.
Yeah, but you could say, look, you could say that. What do you know? What would be really cool? Huge, giant space robots having a massive scrap on top of the pyramids. You say it like that, and I'm in. But look what we got. So be careful what you wish for, Mr. Harlow.
I'm not sure I need it on the pyramids, but we can go and talk about something else that you won't want to see at the cinema.
Let's talk about a film that may be slightly better than it, but sadly not by much, unfortunately.
Look, it is better. But the marketing
your poor brain.
I know the marketing is very clever for this one.
Just to be clear, we're not talking about the Black Demon now, are we?
No, you can if you want to, but we're talking about The Flash.
There we go.
The Flash, a couple of years ago, maybe longer. It's been sat on the back burner.
Yeah.
Because of its star Ezra Miller and his off-screen antics in various different countries and various different people alleged, and if you've seen the movie, if you watch the movie, you'll know that there was just no possibility that they could have recast once they shot that. There's no way they could have done it. They couldn't have CG'd or deep faked him out. He was.
Sorry, they. Suppose we've got to get it right.
They couldn't have deep faked them out, yes. And they caused a huge amount of discomfort for the release of this film.
Yes.
Because it was a political and a PR nightmare. And I will give them credit. The film, when it came to release, all everybody was talking about was Michael Keaton as Batman. It became the return of Michael Keaton as Batman. And when you watch it, there's nothing wrong with Ezra Miller's performance in it.
Yeah.
It's a solid performance, partially snarky, partially cleverly, knowingly snarky. It's not a bad performance for a center of the movie, and repositioning the movie as Keaton up front really makes it hard for me to say that people shouldn't go and see this, because if you grew up with 89 Batman and liked Michael Keaton's Batman, which really you should, it's great seeing him back. He's, as you might expect, absolutely scene stealing. And what's great about him, and what was probably great about the 89 Batman, sure, he was clunky in combat and a bit stiff, but he was the best Bruce Wayne. Like, by far.
Yes,
his
by far.
Bruce Wayne was someone you could fully see was a little bit unhinged. He was a little bit disturbed. He's a little bit, let's get crazy.
Hey.
And, I don't think I've ever been in this room before. I mean, he was eccentric and charming at the same time. He didn't have to be a drunk, typical playboy. He actually managed to carry off an aloofness there. And he had a skittish kind of nature to him that was born out of 30 other things going on in his head, one of which being the death of his parents haunting him. But he had a fantastic look in his eyes and a fantastic way about him, and Keaton brought the best Bruce Wayne by far, and he brings it back now.
Excellent.
He's making spaghetti, and he is Michael Keaton.
Is that a spoiler, Kaz?
Yeah, Michael Keaton as Bruce Wayne making spaghetti, and you absolutely know from the way he's acting around making spaghetti that it is Michael Keaton as Bruce Wayne making spaghetti. It's crazy how good he is in the part.
What would John and Greg give it, though? You know, as a MasterChef gag there, because he's making spaghetti. Do you know what? Forget it. I'm wasted.
Go back to watching Family Stallone, man.
Honestly. Hey, I didn't know what. It's all right. I'm up this week. I'm all up to speed. It's all good. Frank's all right. His nosebleed dried up. We're all okay.
Haven't seen a single episode of Black Mirror.
Nope.
But I'm up to date on the
See,
Family Stallone.
Yep, and MasterChef. Anyway,
Right.
sorry.
So yeah, look, here's the reason why you'd see this movie. Other than that, the good marketing aspect has conned people into going to see a real hot mess of a movie.
Ooh.
It's really everything you could imagine DC in its current iteration doing with a properly good comic story. Flashpoint is very
awesome.
It's seminal. It is. It's up there with the sort of the end games of the Marvel universe. The thing about Flashpoint as a story is it can reset the entire future of the universe. It has such great potential, and if handled right, it makes Flash like the star and integral, but it also gives you some really dark alternate versions of all of the characters you know and love. This is just nothing like Flashpoint. It's just a real it's really more of a Flash movie where they just happen to have select scenes taken from Flashpoint and injected into us, and some time travel-y stuff that is more really born from rewatching the Back to the Future movies, which I'll give it credit is a nice nod, because it's nice going, oh yeah, I can kind of see how that's Back to Future-y. But to do that to a sort of a seminal comic book run, it's not what fans would really want. And also to have people out there saying it's one of the greatest. I saw a preview showing. I saw a preview showing where they gave you doggy bags, little recyclable doggy bags to put your mobile phone in, because they were so worried that people would be like tweeting or doing stuff in the middle of this all important preview showing. And the guy came on board with a microphone before, silenced everybody, and he said, "I've seen this movie, and I don't want to spoil it for you, but I got to say, it's one of the greatest superhero movies of all time. It's up there, top. I think he said top 2 DC superhero movies." And I just thought, does he mean that he's only ever seen Wonder Woman 2?
This and Helen Slater in Supergirl. That's it. That's all he's ever seen.
This and Emancipation of Harlequin. I don't know. It's like really bad. I mean, something's wrong when that's the introduction. That's not a good introduction. That's not a way to get your audience hyped.
That's for all the critics who had already written their review, so they could just have a snooze. That was the tagline, so they could just put the feet up. Is that what you did, Kaz? Well, you can be honest. No one's listening.
I watched the movie, expecting it to be good, and it has sparks of good Flash action. It has a decent-ish performance from Ezra Miller, and I waited an eternity for Michael Keaton to come in and save the day, and he did. Supergirl was good, but underutilized. It wasn't her fault. The narrative was just all over the place. The final sort of act was really, really bad CG, like bad. And I know the directors come on board. Yeah.
What a load of rubbish that is.
How do people say it's supposed to be? Oh yeah, we did bring back some old Star Wars characters in The Mandalorian, and we used bad deep fake because we didn't really want people to think it was the real actor. You know, we wanted to distinguish between reality and, I mean, what possible excuse could you have for some of the CG in this? It's a dream. What, in my dreams, everybody's like made of plasticine, or it made out of 90s pixels and really smudged. I mean, it's really bad CG. It's such bad CG that you could watch the TV series of The Flash and you could pick out some bits in that where the CG was kind of a little bit similar, a little bit rubbery and a little bit TV.
The John Wesley Shipp Flash from the 90s. Nice.
Yes. Yeah. No CG in that. No, I mean, it's disappointing that they spent so much money, and it's not like they didn't have a minute to work on it.
No.
Oh, Miller's done something else in the press. I think we've got another 6 months with the CG, guys. Let's get on it. You know, it's like.
Do you know what I think is disappointing? So obviously I haven't seen this, but I've seen enough of the spoiler-free comments to know. And I think what disappoints me is obviously Flashpoint Paradox was brilliant because what it did is it created a completely new set of these famous characters that we know and love.
Yeah.
It was something you'd never seen before.
Yeah.
And of course, what it sounds like, Muschietti and whoever, whether Gunn had something in this or whoever, I don't know. It sounds like what they've done is they've said, hey, that No Way Home thing, that seemed to work all right for the noisy neighbors, didn't it? So let's take the Paradox bit, and instead of giving them a new version of these characters, let's bring in all these old versions instead, because it worked for Spidey and Chums. And it feels like it is yet another example of DC looking over the fence. Remember Justice League and their Infinity Stones, mother boxes, sorry, you know, all this kind of, and I think that it, for me, the trailer got me because it was a very good trailer, because it hit all those points. It gave just enough of the old and a little bit of the new with Supergirl.
Didn't watch the trailer.
Well, it'd be interesting for you to go watch the trailer and tell us if you think that the finished film bears any semblance to that. But from what I can hear, that for me is the biggest disappointment about the Flashpoint Paradox.
I think that's spot on. I mean, I didn't think about it, but I think that's I think they did a No Way Home. I think that's exactly what they must have figured would work. I mean, it's nothing like the characters that were in Flashpoint Paradox, who were at war and venomous and lost eyes and arms and limbs, and were just a shocking representation of themselves. I mean, the Batman in Flashpoint Paradox is, he's really unlike anything. I mean, I'm trying not to spoil it for people who go out and hunt down the real Flashpoint Paradox, but I mean, he's a real nice shock to the system there.
Yeah. As is the Joker.
It's very, very nicely done. I mean, I think they thought it was too daring, but I mean, I do know that two things. I know the original ending involved Henry Cavill. I mean, it's not a spoiler because everyone knows he's not in it, because James Gunn's like adamant he's no longer involved as anything Superman-y, even though he was in Black Adam, but whatever. So the original ending, you know, had Henry Cavill's Superman in it, and they do an alternative. I can't tell whether it was Gunn behind it, Muschietti, whoever, or a bunch of people. It's a really, really bad misjudging idea. There's some appearances in it. Some are good, but there's one or two that are like, what? And the second thing, which I think is worrying, is I get that James Gunn is now in charge of this big DC monolith, and he can't tell it how it is, because he needs it to make money so he can make the movies he wants to make. So I kind of get that. But I would say he could have been a little bit more reasonable in his sort of assessment of it. He could have said, you know, Michael Keaton is fantastic in The Flash, and not said it's one of the greatest superhero movies of all time. He didn't need to go that extra mile. I mean, it's such a bad comment about this movie that I feel like it's painting my impression of what he's going to do with DC. And he hasn't even got started. He's got Blue Beetle, which it wasn't his, and he's got Aquaman, which wasn't his. And then maybe we'll see a James Gunn movie. But he can't keep saying these are great movies. He's gotta.
I mean, it's the more you hear about this stuff, you just don't know how much things like, you know, the Ezra Miller stuff. We don't know how much the Warner Brothers Discovery shenanigans behind the scenes has played into all of this. But it seems that almost every poor decision that DC could have made in probably the making and the run up to release they made. I mean, I think the Ezra Miller thing, because obviously he was kept out of all press, which I think was probably fine, and there was no comment from DC, but he just rocks up at the red carpet at the premiere, and you know, as if nothing's happened. And no one said anything, and there was no comment or anything. And suddenly, the message boards, the forums went nuts with the, hey, fair enough. We thought you were just going to get rid of him and keep him out, but now you've wheeled him out as if nothing's happened.
They're talking about a Flash too with him.
Well, again, I mean, do you know what? I'm all for second chances and things like that, but I think the way they've handled it, and if early word on the box office is right, this has gone nowhere near what expectations were. And you've got to think, why is it? Because it was a kick-ass trailer. And again, it'll be a combination of things like the Miller factor. There'll be a combination of everyone under the age of 40 going, who's that old fart as Batman? I'm not interested in that. So everyone under 40 doesn't go see it. So, you know, again, like Transformers, you've suddenly got an identity crisis for what should be this mass. Anyway, who knows? I'll
tell you what, they're going to look back and they're going to go, God damn, the Snyder era of DC was actually pretty good. That's the weirdest thing. At least had some consistency to it, is what they're gonna say. At least had a vision to it, even if it was too dark, even if it wasn't for everybody.
Started well, everything else after was a bit poo.
Just what a mess right now. Though.
Yes,
this is anyway. Don't see the Flash, even if you don't want to see Transformers. Don't see Spider-Verse. The Flash is, as much as I love Keaton, I'm gonna say, just save it. You'll enjoy it at home. It is a hot mess of a movie, and we're stone's throw away from the next indie film, the next Mission Impossible film, Oppenheimer. There's loads of stuff coming out. Gonna take the kids to Spider-Verse. They still want to see something else, take them to it again. Really, we've got the Black Demon, don't we, Mark? Yeah.
No.
Because you know what? I like Josh Lucas. I told you, Josh Lucas can do anything after he did
Sweet Home Alabama.
And I liked Sweet Home Alabama for my
classic. It's a classic.
Reese Witherspoon and Josh Lucas in Sweet Home Alabama, and I might have to go and watch that again. I like Stealth. I like that, and I like him in Yellowstone. He's a great choice for a young Kevin Costner's Dutton, and
well, he, to be fair, even is it Adrian Grunberg, the director of this?
Yeah, he did Rambo.
I quite like Last Blood.
Yeah, I mean,
so and okay, so let's be brutally honest here. This is every inch a bottom shelf dime store crap shark movie. However, it does two things particularly badly. So obviously, we're all used to these films. All the shots of the shark in the trailer. There's not a lot of shark in these shark movies, be it Great White, be it the Requiem, be it one of the 47 meters, you name it. There's so many of these where we're used to not seeing the shark in the shark movie. So that's a given.
Yeah.
However, this does two things particularly badly. The first is because it's set on an oil rig and because it's got some really ham-fisted social corporate guilt complex about the white man colonizing, industrializing and colonizing every part of the planet. It's got a hideous environmental message which it rams down your throat. not just because every time you see the shark underwater, it's through a gauze of thick gloopy oil, because oil in the sea is bad, kids. Not just because of that. It stops the film, and it has a nice little environmental damage montage where we get to see all manner of things, forest fires and struggling little birds and, polar bears on very small icebergs, all that kind of crap. It stops the film to give us, as if we didn't know, right? So it shoves that down your throat, And then the second thing is, it's in the title, The Black Demon, right? So it posits that this isn't just a megalodon, your regular megalodon, because those are fine, maybe on the endangered species list, but they're a normal thing. No, this isn't a regular megalodon. This is a demonic entity conjured up by the sea to take revenge upon man, right? So it's in the title, and there are 2 scenes whereby a couple of people have some strange hallucinations underwater. And it hints that that's caused by the demon shark.
And that's the environmental damage.
Well, then you don't know, because then it stops and then it goes away and then it's just a regular megalodon again, And so it's just so poor. It really is poor. I mean, if you're a glutton for punishment, you like things like The Requiem or From Below. I know Tom is particularly a fan of these kind of films. Fill your boots. But let's be honest. This just piles the pressure on Ben Wheatley to get the Meg 2 right, because it looks.
it really doesn't. It does the opposite.
That's our only hope for saving the shark movie roster of 2023. So come on, Mr. Wheatley, finger out, give us the Meg 2.
What's he going to do? Headbutt the shark now? He punched it last time. Spoiler.
Oh, well, he stabs it with a sword. Oh, you don't watch trailers, do you? He stabs it with a sword in this one.
Oh, Thanks for that. Yeah, it was either last night. This is. Anyway,
King Arthur rocks on up at the end, probably.
Yes.
Yeah, don't see The Black Demon, anyone. And even worse, it's on Blu-ray next month. Don't buy it either. Just avoid.
The way you say it makes me want to say it makes Steven Seagal's On Deadly Ground sound like a eco documentary. I feel like people said about that at the time, all of the environmental messages were really badly handled and shoved down your throat. But
this is dreadful.
Yeah, this sounds dreadful to actually include a montage.
It's just so. It's not even like, hey, look at this computer screen where the montage is at. No, the montage just flashes up and it's just like, what's this going to do with anything? Oh, it's just dross.
Oh, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah, do you know what? You want a bit of Josh Lucas? Watch a double whammy of Sweet Home Alabama, followed by Stealth, and then throw the Black Demon in the bin.
Okay. Say it like it is, Mark.
Done. Next.
Extraction 2. So I've got to briefly say, and I understand the logic behind this. Netflix want some good movies on their roster rather than their usual Netflix originals. And it's great that they have them. My issue isn't really with that. My issue is that we have some really, so before I get into Extraction 2, I'm going to say Extraction 2 has some pretty decent effects in it. I think this would have done okay at the big screen. And then I see the trailer to Expendables 4, and I'm like, what?
Expend 4 balls. Get it right, Kaz.
Really bad effects. Really in a trailer. So it's not even like they can, pick out all the money shots and make it look really good. Really bad green screen, really, really cheap effects. I mean, I don't know what they were thinking with that, but it makes me worry about the prioritization here. But what Netflix have with Extraction 2 is a decent Netflix original and a worthy sequel to possibly their finest Netflix original actioner, which was Extraction 1. It's the first one was, a taut race against, armies closing in on you.
Come out of nowhere. That's the good thing about it.
Yeah, it did come out of nowhere. It did feel a bit like John Wick. It did feel like what's going on here. It's Chris Hemsworth. He's a bit moody. He's depressed about the loss of his kid, and you know, and all of a sudden he's in a room full of bad guys, and it's one take shots of him smashing them around with all kinds of weapons, fantastic choreography, excellent with guns as well, takes the streets, takes the cars. I mean, it was a brilliant action film. It ended on a note where you didn't know whether you were going to get another one. I mean, to be honest, we're not all stupid. It had enough of a tease about it, but we didn't know. But you know, it made a stupid amount of money, and it's a good Netflix original. I mean, Netflix aren't that stupid, you know. So they've teamed up to make another one. It took a minute to get going, I think. Yeah,
3 years, wasn't it?
yeah, because of COVID, they delayed it. But I mean, they're not being stupid now. They've already announced a third one. It's great. Hemsworth's back. It continues pretty much straight after the last one, and it does everything you would expect from it. It's just a nuts and bolts action film. What was nice for me was, firstly, it defies any kind of act structure. There are several points in the movie where you think, God, that would have been a great like finale, a great like ender level beast of a thing to overcome, and then it keeps rolling. It takes like a minute for them to breathe, and then it goes straight back into another brilliant sequence that and ends hanging off a skyscraper. And yes, this could be a great finale to the film. It's not over yet. So it's got some surprising legs to it, let's say. For 2 hours, it keeps the momentum going. Hemsworth's great in the role. It ups the ante with the one-take shots with a brilliant Raid 2-esque sort of prison bout, which is really very, very well handled.
Yeah, that first action scene.
It's
from
great.
beginning to end. It was. It reminded me a little bit of Children of Men. That really, really long take from beginning. It just kept going and kept going and kept going.
Up and down the stairs, everything. Yeah,
stairs, in and out of the train. Oh, mate, incredible! Absolutely incredible.
Nice.
It was very, very well handled.
And so tense.
Yes,
really, really tense. You at the end of it,
surprise
you're
in
going,
your voice, Si.
You're exhausted after that first scene, and you've still got an hour and a half to go.
Yeah, I mean, it finds a way of keeping that going even when you think you're safe. So credit to them for doing that. I like that they brought back some of the characters from the first movie, and I just think it's one of the best things Netflix have done for a long while, and was very happy. I watched the first one again the other day just to get back into it, and it was worth it watching them, you know, pretty much back to back. There are a couple of fine action films. I'm not going to say outright that I'm going to compare them to and which is better with the John Wick movies, and I know that a lot of people have fallen out of love with where John Wick has gone. I mean, I love the John Wick movies as well. They're different beasts, but the fact that we have the Extraction franchise and the John Wick franchise makes me very happy.
Nice.
Yeah.
We should, for the sake of balance, we should say it's not perfect. I mean, there are stupid things that happen.
There are,
you know, they've got the bulletproof armor that's bulletproof until it's not bulletproof. You know, that kind of thing. But
is it the same? Is it the same jacket as John Wick wears?
No,
no, it's not
proper,
like
proper bulletproof armor.
Yeah.
Until it's not, of course.
Yeah, they've got.
I mean, there are stupid things, but
there are stupid things.
In the grand scheme of it, you can forget them, and it trucks along so quickly. You know, and the characters are believable. You know.
Yes. And they bring back the girl from the first one, and the nice thing about it, I found, was that the relationship with them is very unsaid, a little bit like Ilsa and Ethan in Mission Impossible. There's like a unspokenness to it. It's this gold shifter Ferrani, who was in the first one as a fellow merc, the person who sort of gave Hemsworth the job, but she's back. Exactly. She's back, and she's in the field this time round. And actually, I think they increase the tension and the unpredictability of the movie by giving them a certain something. But it's handled so well that it isn't anything in particular. But yeah, I mean,
and they're not afraid to take risks in some of these characters that you've been with since the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, they're not. Yes, which makes it even more surprising. Yes, it isn't perfect, but damn, it's
pretty good.
It's a great action film on Netflix. That's a Netflix original. That's
yeah.
There's only 2 of those. So, but yeah, you got to get a watch, Mark. I feel like you should.
I will. I will.
Too busy watching shark movies. I'm just saying.
Well, apparently I'm not into special effects, so I don't get special effects movies. I'm just catching up on some of the posts in the Transformers thread, which are most amusing. Anyone wants to giggle on a Sunday or a Monday night, just check out the Transformers Rise of the Beast review thread now.
Don't do it mid podcast though, guys.
No, I'm not.
No, not you. I'm saying the people listening. Just go off and check out the threads. We're going to be.
Oh yeah. Stay listen to us
next. Yes, stay with us.
Good stuff
bit
talking
longer.
about. Yeah, but yes, I will. Although I have to admit, I wasn't a big fan of the first one. I found it a bit meh. But you've convinced me that this is better.
Well, yeah.
So I'll check it out.
It's just like the first one, man. You better go back to family at the moment.
Yeah.
Right. Look. Stop.
There'll be a rubbish shark movie out next month. I'll just watch that instead.
Okay. Well, we are going to talk about 4K discs next.
If you enjoy the podcast on YouTube, then please like and subscribe. If you're listening to the audio version, then please leave us a rating on your podcast app. We invite you to email questions and feedback to podcast@avforums.com and join in with this episode's discussion thread in the podcasts forum at AV Forums.
Like a shock of a podcast, this one, because we're doing 4K reviews, and Mark doesn't have any 4K reviews to talk about. You've got to make something up.
I'm going to sit back and just listen to you guys.
It's the weirdest thing. Right, so I saw John Wick Chapter 4 on 4K. It is utterly demo reference, all of the hyperbole words you'd use to describe what is a fantastic disc. I actually watched it back to back with 3, and I would say that visually it had the edge to me. There's an aesthetic choice there. I think John Wick 4 is like a work of art visually, whatever you might think of the movie. Some of the choices about the settings and the reds and the blues and the style and the framing is just even better than anything in the series before. And so I think that Chapter 4 had the edge. It's in 4K, Dolby Vision, and it's got Dolby Atmos. They both look and sound great. I'm going to say Chapter 4 looks better, perhaps because of those stylistic choices. But I'm going to say that the audio is reference on both. But if you're going to get down to the nitty gritty of whether there or not there's enough separation or enough use of the Atmos, Chapter 3 did have the slight edge. They both have some thunderous gunfire to them, and you definitely, you turn this up to a level that is just below standard for something like freaking Disney, and you find yourself, worrying about what the neighbors are going to think, worrying about what the people down the road are going to think. I mean, it's it's a loud ass movie. It's great. I actually love I'm a huge apologist. I love all the John Wick movies. I know it's changed, and I know there's a lot of world building, and I know it's not quite the same as the lean surprise that was the first movie. When the first movie came out and you told people about a Keanu Reeves movie where he's shooting and kicking people, and they would have heard Keanu Reeves doing his version of like Taken, it being that era for him, they wouldn't have really known what you're on about. Now we're so sort of complacent about him in the role that you're like, John Wick 4, it's a bit long. Oh yeah, it gets a bit tiring watching him kick all of these people in these unusual settings. Sure. I mean, we've come a long way.
Kicks them in the unusual settings, you say?
I know, it's painful in the unusual settings. I don't want to spoil it on a family podcast, but he does pick them in the unusual settings. I mean, I love him. I love Keanu Reeves. I think he comes across as a really nice guy, and I think he's pretty old to be doing this, and he makes you feel like you can still get up and go and do this, learn new martial arts, running up and down those damn steps, and film some absolutely ridiculous action scenes, and carry your stunt people's equipment and buy them
Yes.
give them your pay packet. I mean, he comes across as a really nice guy, and he gives a Tom Cruise amount to his movies. I've got all the time in the world for the John Wicks, and if you really liked them and didn't start going, three's enough, then you'll probably really enjoy this. A bit like, with Extraction. Extraction is just not going to be for everybody, because it is just an action film. That's all it is. It's a run and gun action film. John Wick is just an action film with loads of world building behind it, but it's just an excuse to show some fantastic, excellently choreographed action sequences with all kinds of weapons and with your fists and with new martial arts and in unusual settings. And if you're looking for anything else, or if you're a bit tired of that, I can see why you ran out of steam with the franchise a while back. But I loved them all, and if you love it, great disc, great collection, great movies.
Excellent.
Nice. You saw it on streaming.
I did, yeah. I got the iTunes version, and I mean it is pantomime. It is expertly choreographed audio visual panache wrapped around goofy pantomime.
Fat thing.
I mean, I think I the first act for me was the flab. The whole there's an extended sequence at the beginning that just doesn't feature Wick, and when you have a 2-hour 50-minute non-stop action film, I think you lose that first act. It was set in the Okinawa Continental. Lose all that because it wasn't incidental to the plot at all. Lose all that, you shave half an hour off the time, and suddenly it's leaner, it's more focused. But I agree with you, Kaz. I think Stahelski, his creative team, shot the absolute crap out of this. There was, if Stahelski isn't in the running for Directors Awards at the end of the year, and I'm being deadly serious here, that over the head Wanner with as the dragon's breath is going nuts in that French tenement.
Yes,
I'm sat there whooping and hollering.
Absolute nightmare to film, apparently. Absolute nightmare to get the height, to be able to do it. I mean, it's proper video game territory, but
it looks amazing.
Yeah, it looks
absolutely amazing. So yeah, I mean, I get that people are tired of it. Of course it's drawn out. Of course it's, oh well, now we have yet another layer of the high table who we didn't know any. Well, of course it is, and it is perfectly within people's rights to go, I've had enough, they're just dragging it out. That's okay. I don't mind it. So I'm here for it, like you are, Kaz.
Yeah, I did enjoy it. Same guy who lensed Brotherhood of the Wolf.
Yes, I didn't realize that until I read your review.
No, nice. I didn't. I mean, I didn't realize it until I chatted with Dacoscus. He made me thoroughly embarrassed about it, because he went, "Hey, do you know about Dan Laustsen?" And I was like, I basically with my face went, "Who?"
Me and Dan.
No, I should have gone, yeah, I know him well. Yeah. And he went, "Oh, let me tell you about him." And in that moment, I was like, "Oh my God, I should have known who this is." He is, because Dacoscus was in John Wick 3, and the connection there is that Laustsen was a cinematographer on Brotherhood of the Wolf and on John Wick 2, 3, and 4. Nice. So I think that I'd be very surprised if it didn't get a nod on best cinematography. I mean,
so wasn't Dacoscus a late to the party on John Wick 3? Wasn't he a last minute replacement for someone? Am I making that up?
Oh, no, I think I'm going to say that they wanted Donnie Yen in the third one.
Yeah,
didn't
that's what I thought.
Yeah.
That Yen was supposed to be in 3 and he couldn't do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they wanted Yen in 3. I can't remember what Yen was
Yeah.
doing instead. I'm going to say Star Wars, but it might not have been. It might have been post that. Might
Yeah.
if something he was doing something else and they couldn't get him.
Yeah.
And they got Dacascos in. It was a great choice, but
Yes.
but yeah, I mean it's a beautiful looking movie. So that those still on board with John
Definitely.
Wick, go and check it out. And although we had the unboxing and we have talked about it like several times, I'm going to give a quick mention to Sony's 65 on 4K, which Simon did unravel to
I did.
investigate the authenticity of the dinosaurs.
I did. Yes, they
Yeah.
are scientifically incorrect. But so what? The worst part about the film is that he doesn't take his shirt off. I mean, why would anyone want to go and see an Adam Driver film that keeps his shirt on? It's ridiculous. A missed opportunity. And, the whole film loses at least 4 points just for that very one fact.
4 points. Oh, God.
It's okay. It's an okay action. There's we discussed the cover. Spaceman fights dinosaurs, and that's pretty much all there is to it.
It is,
He
yeah.
crashes a ship and runs across 15 kilometers, encountering the worst aspects of the planet. In such a short space of time and space. It's incredible how we can go from the beach to a cave system and then falling into quicksand and then into the rainforest.
They did the same thing.
Astonishing. I don't know how he managed to do that.
No, they did the same thing in Game of Thrones. They went over a sand dune and ended up in Norway. They did exactly the same thing in Game of. I remember watching
but they're not in 15 kilometers. Where there was,
Oh, come on! Sure, it was like 30 kilometers, but it was walking distance. They walked over it, and then they got to the other side, and it was Scotland. It was like it was absolutely ridiculous. And then we got snow. It's the the white winter.
Well, winter was coming.
Let's go hang in the desert then, fools. Anyway, yes.
Anyway, small potatoes. The film itself is it's fun enough for what it is. The disc itself is pretty good. It's all filmed digitally. It's a native 4K, and looks really good. It looks very natural. Colors look good. They pop very in the spaceship. All the neon stuff and the computer screens beaming off the screen, the muzzle flash of his weapon. It's all great stuff. And when they're in the caves and stuff, it's all very dark. There's a bit of shadowing going on. It's pretty good. Very, very little to fault on that. Dolby Atmos track. I've got to remind myself of it. Yes, it had some good bass. Yes, it did. It had some pretty good bass. As I'm reading it from my own review.
Very nice.
When did I watch that? It was like 2 weeks ago. There's been so much between then and now. I'm full of Extraction and Black Mirror and all that stuff.
Oh yeah,
so long ago.
Yeah. We're not going to have time for Black Mirror. Sorry about making you watch that stuff. I'm joking. Tell us what's upcoming on 4K, Mark. Really quickly.
Really quickly.
In one breath. In one breath.
All right. So Eureka announced their port of Kino's 4K Orson Welles classic Touch of Evil. Nice. 4K versions for all 3 cuts. Boatload of extras. Nice. Paramount have announced the sci-fi classic that no one in the forums really wanted and made people very grumpy that they dared to release Jon Favreau's Cowboys and Aliens. But then on the other hand, they then also have announced 3 Days of the Condor and Staying Alive. So again, typical schizophrenic Paramount. They're probably now throwing darts at a dartboard as to which one of those they'll put the effort into the restoration and which two will just get the usual crappy DNR decade-old master. Studio Canal are finally putting some Sam Peckinpah out on 4K with the James Coburn wartime classic Cross of Iron for the 31st of July. Warner Brothers have finally officially announced their Enter the Dragon set as part of their centenary celebrations for the 7th of August. This one looks a doozy, both cuts in 4K, and I'm not a Steelbook kind of guy, but I think even I'm going to stump up for the lovely Steelbook set because it's not got like 4 or 6 art cards. It's got like 100 bits of paper shoved in there. So I'm in for all that. Infinity Pool has been an interesting one. So Infinity Pool has only had a 1080p release over in the States. It's coming out this month, I think, in 1080p over here. But everyone was moaning about why is there no 4K version. And interestingly enough, it's coming, but on a very, very small and little known US indie label called Decal Releasing. Never heard of it, but at least Infinity Pool is coming out on 4K. And finally, Criterion, only in the States, OBS, have announced their September 4K lineup. And yes, get ready, it's going to be expensive. We've got The Princess Bride, which has already been released in Germany, but is a cracking transfer, apparently. We've got Nick Rogue's stunning Walkabout and the excellently reviewed Bowie documentary Moonage Daydream, all in 4K. And that last one gets an Atmos track as well. So it looks like September's going to get expensive, folks. Done.
Nice. Very nicely done. Okay, next up, it is streaming and TV show news.
If you'd like to support the AV Forums podcast on a regular basis, then why not become a patron? Head over to patreon.com/AV Forums to sign up. You can also make a one-off donation through the Super Chat or via streamlabs.com/AV Forums. All donations help us to improve the website and the podcasts. Thank you to all our supporters.
Right, on the TV front, streaming front, Mark went boldly where no
everyone has gone before.
No person had gone before because you got up at 8 a.m. to do it, with the season premiere of Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 2.
Yes. Well, unsurprisingly, it's very much business as usual with Strange New Worlds. It manages to jump straight into exactly what made the first season a whole lot of fun. Light and frothy, twinkle in the eye, very much channeling the original series tone, but with the high gloss sheen of all the CG that modern budgets can buy. So we open. It was a bit of a strange opener, if I'm honest. So very strange narrative decision to basically not have Captain Pike in it at all. Bar the opening minute or so. But what it meant is that Ethan Peck Spock took center stage for once, and they're off. They steal the Enterprise. There's as ever, there's a galaxy-threatening civil war that they.
My God, spoilers, Mark. Spoilers.
Yeah. well, it's right that they uncover and quash in the space of about 30 minutes, and there's still time for blood wine for everyone at the end. I mean, I think I put in the review. Complexity and nuance, not here. But it makes up for an awful lot in terms of style, in terms of tone. I love the cast of characters. And I even like, I'm an Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt stan, so I love Carol Kane. So seeing her crop up in this, I
think she's great in it
as the potential chief engineer. I'm like, I'll have me some of that. But yeah, I mean, it ended. I had a smile on my face. It was great. I think it now needs to be better, and I think they hinted at where the threat is coming from this season. They hinted at where the arc for the season is going to go, and I think that's great. It did its job to say, hey, remember us? We're the fun Trek. We're the Trek that doesn't mind throwing all those flash visuals around and not bothering with deeply complex human emotions and all that kind of stuff. We're the fun crew. And I think it did that well. But I think episode 2 needs to suddenly start putting a little bit more meat on the bones. Otherwise, it's going to get a little bit lightweight. What do you think, Si?
Yes, I agree with everything you've just said there. The episode was a bit strange. It was okay. Liquid spinach to make everyone punch everyone. I don't It was all a bit fighty, wasn't it?
Olavsk.
Yeah.
It was okay. I think what I liked about your review was you mentioned the fact that now that it's been released, the Star Trek persona is now a very different place after Picard season 3, because I've said it before. When Strange New World came out, it was a beacon of light in all the darkness that was New Trek.
Yeah.
And then season 3 Picard came out, and suddenly this is how it should be done. Okay, and so far in the one episode that we've seen, they're doing the same thing. They need to up their game a bit, because they've now got something to look at and say, oh, look, that show, that's what we should be doing. We don't need to be the best one anymore. We can just emulate a little bit of that. So you're absolutely right. It does need to be better. As good as a good start, it needs to up its game a little bit.
And I agree, and I hope what it doesn't do is, obviously with it being a prequel, I hope it doesn't lean into all the, this week's callback to the original series is this, and this week's original series character is that, and I hope it doesn't double down and turn into all that, because I think it had established its own set of characters so well in the first season that it should just be content now to be that. And of course, worryingly for me, Anson Mount's hair was not very big. and it needs to be bigger in later episodes, I'm afraid. More hair, Mount.
Maybe that's why he wasn't in it as much. He's gone to sort out.
He was at the hairdresser.
He was
absolutely right.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It just needs to be a bit more Trekky, bit more Star Trekky, rather than stupid quippy comments from a very young crew.
Yeah, you say that, but didn't you just love the Enterprise flying like an X-wing through that crystal asteroid?
Nonsense.
Come on, you loved it, really? You loved it.
Actually, the Klingon battlecruiser, that looked a piece.
I will say
that was
this,
eye near porn if ever I saw it.
They've done really well with the starship porn. Like watching it, and it's like, they.
Oh, you watched it, Kaz?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Oh, but nice. What did you think?
Yeah, I missed Anson Mount, but I'm okay with it, and I'm happy it's back. I've definitely got I'm happy it's back thing. Yes, it's a little bit cheesy. Yes, okay. Spock's heart rate is fluttering. Oh boy, go play your little instrument. Yes, I mean, sure. Yeah, okay. But it was nice. It was nice having it back. Very watchable Star Trek, and it doesn't have that overbearing smile and cry, like desperation of disco. So I'm happy in the company. It's really good, and I do like the new edition. She was cracking. She knew all the ways to play Spock. I also love Spock's catchphrase. It was fantastic. that was nicely judged. Although utterly spoiled in your review, Mark. I mean, come on.
I'm
joking. It is. I did.
Enough of all that frothiness. Tell us something dark and depressing.
Yes, let's talk about something. Yeah, maybe it helped watching Star Trek afterwards. Maybe that was just what you need. I mean, I watched 5 episodes, all 5 episodes of the latest season, the 6th season of Black Mirror, which has been going on for 12 years now. It's Charlie Brooker's very, very dark tales. They're sort of satirical, they're sort of sci-fi, they're sort of horror. They almost always end with a really bad taste, dark twist. Like, it's really like, maybe this is okay, and then the final thing is they're all locked in a dungeon or something, or it turns out that the person you've been watching for the last half an hour is a serial killer, and this is a nightmare that they're having to endure whilst in prison, why their minds are tied to a computer or something.
Remember, kids, the future's terrible.
Yeah, it really is. Anyway, there are also my favorite episodes are not the dark ones.
The first one, isn't it?
And my favorite, I mean, that's a great one. The first one, what with the pig?
No, I thought you were
The
talking about this
latest two.
season.
No, my favorite episodes of Black Mirror are not the dark ones. San Junipero is easily my favorite of all of the episodes, and it's just not dark like this. In this season, what's nice about it is that he actually seems to be having a bit of fun. My favorite episodes in this, and we'll see what size are the first and the last ones. The last one in particular is like an exploitation-esque throwback.
It's awesome.
It is. It's
absolutely
really
awesome.
It's very
the filming technique on it is brilliant, and the attention to detail to the 79 era that it's set in, 1979 era, is perfect, even down to the milk bottle shape and bottom silver top.
It's very nice.
Perfect.
We're skipping to the end with it, but I will say, out of all of the episodes, it was the most surprising for him because it has a bit of sort of fantasy, dark fantasy in there, some mysticism.
Great music.
It's got some great music, some horror, and it's set in like racist 70s England.
Yeah.
But it's quintessentially British, but with a bit of an edge to it. And I thought it was wonderfully done. I mean, in the review, I said it was a little bit like Charlie Brooker's Dark Aladdin. It's got some vibes to that, but I mean, it's Charlie Brooker's Dark Aladdin. It is not Aladdin. I'm just emphasizing that. But that what was nice about that is it really showed Brooker having fun. And there's a fine line for him between having fun with you, with the audience, and having fun at your expense. And go, you thought you were safe, but actually no, you're all dead. And this was more of a having fun with the audience thing. It was very nice, and it's under a new label. I think it's Red Mirror, they called it. And he said if the last episode is under the faux exploitation-y Red Mirror banner. And he said if that's a success, there'll be a Red Mirror spin-off, and if they're more like that, I'd love it.
Absolutely, it was brilliant. The filming technique was fantastic, just absolutely. You know, you kind of knew where it was going, and you kind of felt it was going to end how it was going to end, and that was great. I loved it. I mean, my favorite episode was episode 1 by a long, long way.
Yeah, that's the other great one. Yeah, it's the first and the last that are the best of that season. Yeah.
That is just
Joan is awful.
Joan is awful.
Yeah.
It's very, very clever, touching on free will, multiverse.
Yeah.
Just everything.
Deep fake. You know and fake, people clicking,
advertising, just
people clicking yes on the terms and conditions.
Exactly. That reminded me of that South Park episode. You know, when they had the human centipede one, never reading the terms and conditions. It was like that.
It's really great. It's a really great episode.
It's really good. I can see your face, Mark. No, it's worth watching.
He's never seen.
Podcast has turned into an episode of Black Mirror.
He's never watched it, so
That's true.
Know.
I've never seen it. I've got a clue what it's all about.
Go watch Joan is Awful. Joan is Awful is about an exec who suddenly watches a program on her awfully Netflix-like streaming service called Streamberry, which has a little icon that is an S, just like the
same startup.
I mean, it's fantastic. I mean, to be honest, I think they should have called it Netflix, but Streamberry's great. I might start calling Netflix Streamberry. I did in the review, but yeah, I mean, it's Streamberry. She watches this program on Streamberry called Joan is Awful, and her name's Joan. It's got Salma Hayek in it, but Salma Hayek's got her color hair, and Salma Hayek's playing an executive who's really mean to people, and nobody likes her, and is like cheating on her husband, and going to exact same restaurants and living in the same flat, and oh my god!
So now I don't need to see it. Thanks, Gaz.
No, that's
you do.
Just the
premise. I'll watch it. Watch.
You have no idea. It's got Michael Cera pops up for a scene, absolutely scene-stealing, like 2 lines. And he's fantastic in it. Salma Hayek.
The whole episode is brilliant.
A lot of fun.
It's so clever.
All right, I will watch.
It's a lot of fun. And again, Brooker having fun with us, not at our expense. I mean, the in-between episodes are okay. Lock Henry found footage is literal found footage, but it's
but nothing. different, really. I mean, you could see where it was going if you like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Next one, Beyond the Sea.
That was quite clever. That had some nice ideas to it. It had some shock value.
Yes.
The sea.
It wasn't
go.
as good as the first at last. It's got the Beyond the Sea song in it. It's about it's set in the 60s, couple of astronauts who the technology, in a kind of a retro steampunk way, the technology enables them to still have portions of time with their family back home. I mean, I'm not going to spoil how they do it or how it works, but something bad happens back home, and it's
really bad.
Yeah, it's about how it affects them
and how it affects these two guys.
Yeah, because both of them have to be on the shuttle and coexist on a deep space mission. If anything happens to either one of them, anything happens to either one of them, and the other one's in a lot of trouble. So navigating this earthbound horror from up there becomes, I mean, it's very well done.
All right, I'll watch the bloody thing.
No.
And Maisie Day.
Maisie Day.
Out and out. I suppose you call it out and out horror, couldn't you? You don't have no idea where it's going until right to the very end. And then you think, oh, right, okay.
Which I think was great, but I'm just not,
You're not a horror dude, Kaz.
No, it's not that. It's just I wanted more.
Ooh.
So the twist in Maisie Day, I mean, there's a twist in every Charlie Brooker film, but the twist in Maisie Day comes in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And and it is the entire raison d'etre for the episode, which is instead very focused on sort of how horrible paparazzi are.
Yep.
And I would say that it's pretty obvious paparazzi are not very nice.
They're pretty scum. Yeah.
I'm not sure I needed.
I mean, they do try and play the other side of it, don't they? With the line about they become an actors, they must, they want the fame, so they've got to take the other bit with it. And they try and play a little bit, but I mean, they are pretty reprehensible.
They are really, they're really, really, Anyway.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. The three middle are watchable, but the real standouts are the ones at the beginning and the end. The one at the end, just because it's so different stylistically, and the one at the beginning, Joan is Awful, is very clever.
Very, very clever.
Just watch Joan is Awful.
I'll watch them all. Fine.
Well, then start at season 1 and watch them all, Mark. I'll see you. See you tomorrow after you've watched them all. Right, that's Black Mirror. We're going to just shout because we're way over time. I'm going to say The Idol with The Weeknd and
read the review.
Lily Rose Depp.
Yeah, I mean, she's doing her best Miley Cyrus impression. He cannot act, and he makes good music, which is kind of in there. But the two of them together is bad. Just read the review. It's bad. I gave it like a 3, and loads of people agreed with me. I mean, it's a bad show.
There you are. Then it's bad.
Yeah, it's got to be really bad.
It's not a coincidence.
Because normally people come on and say, "Oh, it's at least a 4," but this time they actually agreed with the 3.
Well, do you know what? Because I made that mistake on The Crowded Room.
You should have given it a 4, man.
No, so I put it on. Typical Apple stuff. It's handsome looking. Tom Holland is pretty good. It's it's a filler episode from the off. And everyone in the thread was like, "Oh no, Mark, you're wrong. It's really good. It's really good." So I went back and made the mistake of actually watching the second and third episodes. And now those people owe me 2 hours of life. It was dreadful. It got even worse. So again, I know people go, Apple is all quality. Yeah, no, it ain't. No, it ain't. The Crowded Room is dreadful.
Yes, I mean, I'm much
on a downer then.
No, we're not. We're gonna skip right past those and end on Arnie.
Arnold.
Yes. Well, it is on Arnie, isn't it? Netflix, Arnold Schwarzenegger documentary. Read Mark's review. And
if you don't have time to watch 3 hours of Arnie, this thing should have been 30 hours. Let's be brutally honest with the life that he's led. Honestly, if they announced a 30-hour director's cut,
Only you would watch it.
We'll watch. We'll watch.
Only you would watch it.
But it splits it up into 3 episodes. The first hour episode deals with his sort of pre-Hollywood fame, his bodybuilding, him achieving Mr. Universe. The second episode is him conquering Hollywood, all the stuff. Well, barely any stories about the films you want to see, and an inordinate amount of time spent talking about twins for some strange reason. The third episode is where the real meat is at, his political career and his late stage life. That's the bit where you see Arnie not as you expect. It's a mega slick production, as you'd imagine. Arnie is recounting his life in these huge palatial oak paneled offices with a cigar this size. It's exactly as you'd expect. But this third episode, he lays it all out in unexpected honesty. He goes into the failures of his political career. He goes into the failures of his personal life, his admission about some of the mistakes he's made. It's a very, very different Arnie. And it ends with him chasing his little Shetland and his little donkey around, shoveling up the poo that he does, which is really hilarious, while he's talking very openly and honestly about the pain of losing a very close friend. And something I never thought I'd ever hear him say is his hatred of his own body. Now that he's got old, his body is not what it was. And he talks at length about his body dysmorphia and how he feels about, this thing which defined him for his entire life. Now, do you know what? It was a real... It sounds like it ended on a downer. It didn't. It ended on a note of real, raw honesty from him. And I think it made the entire thing. Obviously, the second episode about Hollywood should have been 3 hours long. There wasn't enough talk about the classic films. If that's all you want to watch this for, him talk about Predator and Total Recall and all that, you'll be disappointed. It's the opening episode and the final episode. That's where the real meat of it is. Can't recommend it enough. It's only 3 hours long, but it's pure Arnie and it's brilliant. So get it watched.
Okay.
It's only 3 hours long. No. I hate it's the way you say it.
Should have been so much longer.
Oh man, 30 hours. If it had been 30 hours, I'd have watched it.
Yep.
No. Right.
Done.
I think that's it. That is it. So coming up, we're going to be looking at some Tom Cruise 4Ks, Rain Man, The Firm, Vanilla Sky. We're going to be looking at UK Hard Targets. We're going to be looking at the Avatars. Yeah, or at least Avatar 2. I don't know whether we'll get to the second one in time for the next one. And Le Mépris. That's all on 4K. By the next podcast, we'll have had Secret Invasion. Invasion. Yeah, I know. That snuck up, didn't it?
Who cares?
Season 2 of The Bear.
Oh, no, I don't care about that.
You care
Season
about that.
2 of The Bear.
Yeah,
that'd be quite good.
Season 2 of The Bear. Wes Anderson's Asteroid City. Titans season 4. Okay. Idris Elba's Hijack on Apple and Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, which Spielberg says is like the greatest indie film that he did direct.
Rubbish.
Yeah, but what does James Gunn think? That's all I care about.
After hearing James Gunn and watching The Flash, I tell you, why do these people say this? Why?
They're mad. They're paid to, Gaz.
I'm still looking forward to it, but they could come on board and say, he does an honest bout in the role as an 80-something actor, and it's enjoyable seeing him again. He doesn't have to come on board and say, I never thought someone else would make a Steven Spielberg indie film. I mean, why? All right, do let us know if there's anything we've not covered that you think we should check out. And that is it for the AV Forums podcast this week. My thanks to Simon Crust.
Good night, folks. Thanks for joining us.
And Mark Costello.
Night, y'alls.
If you enjoyed the podcast, please give us a like and subscribe to the channel, plus hit the notification bell so you don't miss out when we publish our live streams, product reviews, and more. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook and bookmark avforums.com for the latest reviews, news, and videos. Plus, why not leave us a 5-star rating on whichever service you use, if they allow it, but only if you enjoyed the show. Of course, you guys enjoyed the show. Come on.
Of course you did.
I'm Kaz Harlow. Thank you for watching and listening, and join us for another podcast soon. Boom.